Welcome back! Every MR2 guy has to do this. You sit in the bay and you get up once the engine is out. So this is my version of it, okay? Kind of corny, but welcome back. Alright, so today we're gonna jump right into the intercooler, the Tcs Intercooler Install. So I got this guy right here. So from TCS. So it's a TCS Intercooler kit. It comes with the piping and everything. I have those stored away in the boxes, the pipes at least. But today we're going to get the intercooler installed in the body of the car. So as we get ready for the engine to go in, you know, it's easier to put this stuff in before the engine is in because it's really not a lot of space to work with. So anyway, so let's jump right in. So what we have is the intercooler that comes in the kit. We have this bracket that goes on inside. You'll see how this gets installed. We have a fan shroud and the fan, intercooler fan that goes right here. This guy right here. So it's basically intercooler, shroud, brace, and the fan, and then we have a whole bunch of hardware that comes with the kit. So as you see right here, there's a bunch of hardware. So I'll show you guys if you do buy this kit where everything goes and how you do this install. It's I mean it's easy. It's nothing hard, but again, I did a lot of research, so I figured it out. So let's jump right into this. So it's gonna be kind of hard to film this video because it's in the bay and it's kind of tight, but we'll do our best to get it out to you guys. And as you can see, this is the limited edition hat. It's only one in stock. so anyway, so this is something I got for the channel. So I hope you guys like it. So anyways, let's get right into it and flip the hat around. So, all right, and I got it right here too. All right. As I mentioned before, we're in the belly of the MR2. So it's pretty tight in here, but it's kind of cozy as well. So we're gonna make the best of the situation. So we're working on the passenger side of the car. So this is where the intercooler is gonna sit and live, but in order to get it there are a couple things you have to do first. So this is the factory shield that comes with the car. Well, we're not gonna use this as we install the intercooler, so this gets removed. So there are three 10mm bolts. You basically take them out, one here, and another one down here. And then there's a wire loom that came up and it was attached to this shield. And it went to the back to the cruise control. But as most of you know, if you're watching the videos, you realize that I deleted the cruise control. So I just pulled the wire through the firewall, put a grommet in here to seal it so it doesn't leak, no water gets in the car. And just kind of wrap that and tuck that away inside the vehicle. So now we're gonna get the shield off. So it's already pulled, so we're gonna get this out. And basically you put this up or put it on eBay and get some good money for somebody who's missing, because I know a lot of these get thrown out and you can't get these parts anymore. So anything for an MR2 is premium at this point. So so the TCS kit comes with these little studs. It comes with 3 of them, right? And basically where the 3 bolts came out, you're gonna thread these in, and that's what's gonna hold that bracket that I showed you before in place, and the intercooler. So basically these are the 3 mounting points for the intercooler. So based on my measurements, I kind of got the bolts. I used a caliper here, and I got the bolts at about 13mm deep. So, well, extended from the body of the vehicle here. So extended out 13mm, the rest is in the frame. So I think that should hold it pretty good. So that's what I did. And I also went ahead and used some blue Loctite on that because I figure, yeah, they're just threaded in there, and I figure over time with the car vibration and everything, they'll become loose. So I put some blue Loctite to kind of help secure them. So 2 of them are in already, and I'm gonna run this one in, and then we're gonna get the shield on. Okay. So blue Loctite, and now we're just gonna thread that in here. And it goes in pretty easy, at least in the case of my car. I'm sure if your car is far up north and then, you know, get a lot of rust, it might be difficult, but down here it goes in pretty smooth. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this one in, and then we're gonna keep moving on with the rest of the parts. So let me just put this in here. Gotta do it by hand. So save your fingers and use a rag. And then I use my trusted caliper just to kind of get a measurement how deep I got it in. So yeah, so that's about 13 right there. So we have all of them now at around 13, extended about 13 millimeters out. And then what comes next is this little bracket. So it's like a shielding, and I guess it just helps to kind of have the air as it comes through the scoop flow directly into the core of the intercooler, right? So it goes in like this. This is a protective film, so we're gonna get this off. This comes right off like that. And we're gonna mount this up. And it would be nice if this stuff stayed all polished, but sure, over time it will get oxidized. But for now, we're gonna enjoy this polished finish. Alright, so that's off. So now we're gonna get this basically slips right in here. A little persuasion, and there you go. All right, so that's the first piece, so that goes in and looking good. All right, so what comes next is the intercooler. So I took the throttle cable out. It goes into this box right here, but it's kind of getting in the way, so I just disconnected it to put it outside. And you'll see, I think there's a little modification we have to do once the intercooler is in. Based on what I was looking at. So we're gonna get the intercooler in now, and then we're just gonna keep on moving ahead. Okay, so the intercooler has two tabs, one that goes on here, one that goes on here, and then the bottom one basically is just to secure this shielding right here. So I put a nut on the lower one, and I'm just gonna tighten this one down because it is in a awkward place. So once I get the intercooler in, it's kind of hard to get to. So we're gonna tighten this down to begin with. And then drop the intercooler in and tighten that up. Well, actually, yeah, let's tighten that up because the short comes after. All right. So there you go. So that's nice and tight. And now we get the intercooler. So here we have the shiny intercooler. So these are the two tabs. We got this one and this one, and that's what's going to mount it to the body of the car. So this one goes on top, that's on the bottom. So we're gonna roll it, kind of slip it in like this. There you go. We get it in the tabs. And now I'm gonna put the two other nuts that come with the kit. We're gonna bolt those in, and that's gonna secure the intercooler to the body. After that, we'll get the shroud on. And again, this is, like I said, it's pretty easy. Or it looks pretty easy, so let's just keep on moving and everything should work out just smooth. So one right there, and the fitment is pretty good because it doesn't hit the top and it's right on the bottom. Where it doesn't hit the bottom, just gives you enough clearance. So far so good in terms of fitment. So again, this is the Tcs Intercooler kit. I know these guys have been doing, you know, they do a lot of these swaps, so at this point, if TCS doesn't know how to do it, I don't think anybody does. So, you know, I think that you can trust their work at this point, or the quality of their parts at this point. So far so good. So let's keep moving. All right, so I got those on, so I'm just gonna tighten these up. Hope that doesn't rattle in the car. I guess it wouldn't rattle because once you get the intercooler pipes in, it would tie everything together. So there's a little bit of play, as you can see right now. But you know, once the intercooler pipes go on and everything gets buttoned up, it's going to be pretty looks like it'd be firm in place, so I'm not too concerned about that. All right, so now we're gonna get the shroud on. So I'll grab the shroud over here. And as you can see, the shroud on the back of it, it has 2 holes and 1 at the bottom. So the 2 line up here and here. Now I did kind of mock this up before I started this video, and I'm thinking I'm gonna cut a little bit of this area. Now I've seen it install and nobody modifies this thing, but it can work, but it as you can see here, look, I get it in and it's lined up right here. Well, one, I got this one that's not lined up, so I have to kind of fit that, and then it's pretty close. It's I rub it on the body here, which I don't like. So I'm thinking I'm gonna modify this a little bit, but let me just play around with it and see if it's pretty firm. Maybe that's what keeps this thing in place. So let's give it a shot. Let's see. Looks pretty decent. There's clearance right here for the hose to go on. Let me just double check that. Yep, so that goes in. Yeah, so maybe we don't have to do anything, but let's see. Let me try to get the bolts in and see if that works. For sure, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but this one is not lining up with this tab. So I'm gonna have to drill another hole here just to get that mounted, but it's really not a big deal. So yeah, let me get this mounted, and once we get that mounted, the fan comes next, and we got the screws. There's some threaded holes right here that you basically just put the fan over and thread that onto here like that, and that's it. Install is done, just ready to be wired up and good to go. So let me get this thing bolted on and I'll come right back to you. All right, so after messing with this, I can't push it, like force it in like that, and it will line up, but then it's rubbing on the body here. And it would work, but I just don't want to rub it on the body because eventually that's gonna, you know, like as you can see, that's even trying to get it in. It like scratched off the seal, the seam sealer. So I'm just gonna cut this a little bit here. It's not gonna hurt anything, and then put it in so I have clearance and make sure that I have nothing rubbing on the body of the car. So let me get my Dremel out and go to town on this. I think I made the TCS product even better than it is, but it is a pretty good product. So what I did, as you can see, it's a nice perfect square. That's how it came. So I just kind of cut a little angle right here and bend this over just because I wanted clearance. It was just a little bit too close for my liking. Again, it would work. You can stuff it in there, but I wanted it with a little bit of clearance that wasn't rubbing on the body. So this is what it's going to look like. Sorry, like this, going in, and now I have a lot lot of clearance for the hose to go on, right? And this will just bolt right up, and there's good clearance here, all the holes lined up, and it's not touching the bottom down here. So so I think this came out pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the bolts in. Now if you look at the bolts that I have, these are the ones that came from TCS. So it's like a Phillips head with looks like an 8mm nut, but again, I didn't like this design, so I went with 10mm. So I'm doing a 10mm bolt with a 10mm nut. I think it will hold a little bit better. And again, it's just personal choice at this point. Obviously these are going to work if you use them, but this is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt this in, and then we'll just put the fan on, and that will just wrap this up. So pretty easy project. So let's get this on. I got this screw bolt in, and there's one hidden up here. It's really tricky to get to, so I used a magnet tool, and I just basically took the bolt and slipped it in right here, slipped it through the hole, and then you can put your hand back here and just catch the nut on. Okay, so those two are in. Now is the bottom one, and I did have to drill another hole just to line this one up, because the one that came on the shroud did not line up perfectly. It did prior to installing, so it could technically fit, but the shroud would have to be rotated a little bit, and then again, because of the clearance issue, it wasn't working out. So that's part of the reason why. As you can see, I have a little bit of space under here now. See, look at that. So it's not sitting on the body of the car, and like I said, this is a personal preference, so nothing wrong with the TCS kit. So by no means I'm saying this is not a good quality product kit, yeah, I just chose to do it a different way. Okay, so right now we're gonna put this piece in, and we're gonna get the last bolt down and tighten everything down. So it's tight space back here, as you can imagine. So you just gotta be careful, make sure this thing doesn't fall. Got it in. Now we're just going to tighten everything up, get the fan on, and that's pretty much a wrap for this intercooler kit. The pipes will obviously come in later on, and I'm expecting them to line up fine. Haven't really seen any concerns, at least not recently. So that's tight. This one is tight here, so there you go. Now let's get this fan on. So we have these 4 screws that came with the kit. So 4 screws and a little washer. So you're pretty much just I'm gonna line it up so you can read this thing right here. There you go. So this just goes in here, threads into the shroud like that. Probably need a screwdriver here. It's kind of tight. And let me tell you, man, if you're doing an engine swap, put this in before you put the engine in, because it's tight enough to do it with the engine out. Just imagine with the engine in the vehicle. But you get the basic idea. So let me get a screwdriver so this can go in pretty easy. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So 4 screws, finishing touches. Probably, you know, I'm putting this in looser right now because obviously when I do the wiring, I'm gonna have to build a connector for this. Because I'm gonna buy put together like a quick connect. This you could just do this, but this looks cheap, so I'm gonna get a good quick connector. I bought some plugs, so this will look nice and sharp, and if I ever have to take the intercooler out, it's just a quick disconnect. So I'm gonna redo that. And then these screws, I'm probably gonna do the same like I did with the studs. Just put some blue Loctite on them, so you know, for vibration or whatever, they don't fall out, right? So there you have it. There's the intercooler. So the TCS intercooler kit, it's installed. Now let's talk about this throttle cable. So before, this thing was vertical up, right? So what would happen is, when this cable is in, as you can see what's happening, it's directly in front of the intercooler inlet here. So let me put this hose on and you'll see what I'm talking about. So look at that. So I looked at a bunch of pictures online and I noticed everybody bent this thing, kind of bent it, I want to say anti-clockwise. So this kind of came and ran like this, right? So I just kind of bent it down a little bit. So it's going to look like this when I'm done. So I'll tighten this up. And then the pipe will be here and it will run basically underneath here, right? So that's the idea that I came up with, because if you keep this thing straight, it will end up looking kind of like, let me show you, it's gonna look like this. So then the intercooler pipe is gonna get in the way, you'd have to kind of bend it over like this. So just to make it a little bit more fluid, I bent it down and it will basically sit right there. I think that looks pretty good. Sorry, screwdriver fell. So this is something to consider. Again, it's not a big deal, but it's just one of those things. If you didn't know you're going to run into that problem, you'll kind of have to figure it out as you go. So now you know, so you can plan ahead. But that's it, guys. The intercooler is in. I'll show you some stuff right now, because the wire harness actually came back. So we're on our way. So let me show you where we're at. Quick update, and then we close this up. All right. So here's the wire harness. So we got it back. Again, dug for wire gap, so everything nice and neat. I mean, I checked it. I mean, these guys did an amazing job. I'm assuming this will just crank right over, but it looks good. All the plugs are there. I referenced everything on the engine and everything looks pretty good. So, you know, I got everything labeled. And also, when we install this, I'll do a full video on the install as to how we put it back onto the engine, so you'll see that. But the good news is the wire harness is back. I was worried this was going to take too long to get back, or take a while, I should say, to get back. So I'm very happy it's here already. That just keeps the project moving. And then right over here, you know, this is where we're at with the transmission. So I was going to paint this guy. And then I figured, you know, if I paint it and then, you know, let's say I got to do some brake clean or carb clean or something, you know, it might strip the paint. So I decided not to paint it and decided to clean it. And in cleaning it, I kind of went crazy polishing it. So I don't know if you're going to see this on camera, but it's almost like a polished aluminum finish. So I'm taking my time seeing how much of this I can get polished out, because I think that's going to look pretty dope on the engine if we could get this transmission polished. So I'm working on that. And then, you know, I have the salt bend clutch kit, and that came with throwout bearing. But you know, I read a lot of reviews and everybody says go OEM on the throwout bearing. So I actually ordered one from Toyota, so I'm waiting on that to finish up the transmission and put it to the new engine. So once that's done, then, you know, we're just on our way. You're gonna see the engine come up, and you know, the project will keep moving. So hope you like the TCS intercooler install. There's one video on YouTube, so not a lot on it. Again, it's not super complicated, but you know, if you buy the kit, just watch this, you'll see exactly how it goes in, and you can probably do that little modification if you're picky and don't want it to touch the body of your car. So hope everyone have a good weekend and had a good week, and see you next week, and thanks for watching.